Sainers, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. I hope you're all having a great week so far. It's grand final week. It's the lead up to the biggest day of the year, the biggest sporting events on the calendar, the AFL Grand Final on Saturday between Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. Grand finals aren't really a thing that Saints fans like thinking about, and every year it comes around, when the Saints aren't there, we think about 2009, we think about 2010, the draw, the replay. We think about those missed opportunities. And even the other day, they had the bloody 2010 on Fox Footy. So thanks, Fox Footy, for that. That really made me feel good. I put it on and stupidly watched the last 5 minutes, and it made me feel bloody sick. But it kind of inspired me. I thought, well, outside of those finals that we hate looking at, we hate watching, we hate thinking about, we hate talking about, all that stuff, what are other Saints finals that stick out in my memory that are my favourites that I could watch over and over and over and over? And I thought, well, I could do a video and do my top 5. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what you're watching. So thank you for tuning in. Just a quick note though, 1966 for me is kind of its own category. It's just out there. It's in a different land. It's legendary now. So that's what it is. It's not going to be on my list. And 1997 prelim, I know a lot of people probably have that on their list. It will also not be on my list because I was 5 years old. I've watched it a couple of times, but I've got other finals that mean something to me because I was either there, I was watching it with family, or it's just for some reason or another in my mind constantly when I think about St Kilda finals. So without further ado, let's get into my top 5 St Kilda finals. Coming in at number 5, the 2020 elimination final against the Western Bulldogs. Now, that's on my list. That sneaks in at 5 on my list, mainly because of the delay between final success. Now, we were in finals in 2011. We got knocked out in the first week, and prior to that, obviously the grand finals in 2010, and our last grand final win was against the Bulldogs in 2010 in that prelim final. So to back it up against the Dogs in 2020 in a year that had COVID, in a year where we were in a hub and we weren't playing in front of fans, we were playing in front of empty seats one week, a few fans the next, no fans the week after that. It was just a crazy year. We didn't know if it was going to be able to be completed. It was delayed, it was postponed, games were switched, and AFL marathon happened and we played 3 games in like 10 days. It was crazy. So to make finals in a unique year like that, and also to win one, was really special. And this final sticks out to me because it was Brett Ratten's first win as a St Kilda coach, and we had Zach Jones, Dan Butler, Brad Hill, and Paddy Ryder all in the lineup on that game and getting the win, their first final as a Saint. And I mentioned Paddy Ryder. That final sticks out to me because of his colossal performance. And, we think about his goals and his tap work and his ruck work around the ground and how good he was in that game and really how it set us up to win. But then it also, you fast forward to the last minute and he's done his hamstring and he misses the next week, and it's devastation for us and for him. So that game had everything. We were on fire early. Dan Butler, I thought, kicked a sealer in the third quarter. Bulldogs came fighting in the last, and we held on. And it was a crazy final. I think we all just were amazed that not only did we make finals in 2020, but also the way we won a final. And it is a bit heartbreaking to think that we missed finals this year completely, and the team that we beat is in a grand final along with the team that didn't make finals at all last year. But nonetheless, number 5, the 2020 elimination final against the Western Bulldogs. Now for number 4. This game, probably, it may not be on many people's list, but to me, because of the sheer individual brilliance of a St Kilda player, this has to be on my list. And I was there. I saw it live. I was in awe. He was unbeatable. He is the reason we won that game. And we played Collingwood at the G, and Nick Riewoldt was just at his scintillating best. I can't see a way where we actually win that game unless he's playing. Collingwood were all over us early, I remember, and keeping us to, I think, a goal or 2 maybe in the first quarter, or pretty low scoring for the majority of the first quarter. And the only way we looked like kicking goals was through Nick Riewoldt. And Even the commentators said that. It's like there's it was a Dennis committee that said there's brilliant Rewalt and then there's wonderful Rewalt or something like that, and a wonderful Rewalt and then there's brilliant Rewalt, and we got brilliant Rewalt on that day. And the one thing that sticks out to me is I think what most people would think of when they think of this game is the sealer in the last quarter where we turn the ball over in the middle of the ground, and I think it's Milne who gets kind of a handball over the top in front of Rui, not really direct to him. It was kind of 3 or 4 meters in front of him, so it forced him to run onto it towards the boundary line. And he gets it without a doubt, like without thinking. He just puts it on the boot. It goes post high, but he snaps it beautifully. The crowd goes nuts, and I'll never forget it. But that celebration where he's running across, I think it might be in front of the Collingwood cheer squad, and he's giving it to them and everything, and the crowd's going nuts. And by that point he'd sealed the game. But number 4 is definitely that game because Nick Riewoldt, I think he kicked 5 goals, had about 12 marks, 20 possessions, kicking straight, marking everything. He was the reason we won that game, and that is the reason why it is number 4 on my list. Number 3. This game is one of my favourites to watch. This mainly because it's a win against Geelong, and that probably gives it away. It's the 2010 qualifying final against Geelong, Friday night at the MCG. Now, going into that game, I remember it pretty vividly that I wasn't feeling confident at all about winning that game. I knew that we had just lost to Adelaide in round 22 of 2010, and that might have been by resting players or taking it easy, one reason or another. But I remember looking at the Adelaide Crows score and thinking, shit, okay, we lost that game. And then going into this game kind of thinking, well, at least we made it. We got the double chance. We probably won't win this, but we'll give it a red hot go. And we were I think $3.20 to win the game, and we just found a way. And it was one of the most epic grand finals. It had everything. It had marks, it had goals, it had tackles, it had controversial free kicks that we'll get into. It had individual brilliance, and of course a Saints song at the end of it. So this has to be number 3 on my list because it's against Geelong, because it was payback in a way from 2009. And Collingwood and Geelong were the number 1 and 2 teams for the majority of 2010. So for us to stand up on the big stage in front of Geelong, in front of a big crowd, in front of the country watching, and do that was brilliant. And when I think of this game, the one moment that stands out to me is the 5-minute patch in the second quarter where Milne kicks 3, and I think it was his third that was the best of them, where we kick it long inside 50. The boundary line's about here. And he's running towards the boundary. He marks it on his chest, and any other player probably just takes time off the clock, goes for a set shot, tight angle, and goes for the set shot. But Milne plays on just on instinct, and dribbles it along the boundary, through the big sticks, and we go about 3 or 4 goals up within minutes. Like, it was a quick, it was a tight game for a while, and then bang, 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 Saints are up by 3-4 goals. And then Montagnier kicks a dribbler outside 50 in the wet in the third quarter. I thought we were home. Of course, Geelong come fighting back. Well, I think we go into the last quarter a goal up, and it was a goal each in the last. And as we all know, Geelong go for the Hail Mary down the middle. Everyone's shitting their pants because we're only, I think, a goal up or less than a goal up at that point. I think 2 or 3 points. They get it out the back. Then Jimmy Gwilt gets onto it, gets the ball, gets tackled by Cam Mooney. The ball trickles out. Ling gets the ball. He kicks a goal, and I'm thinking in the crowd, I've got my head in my hands thinking, holy shit, we've just lost this. I can't believe this. We went from happy to sad, but then immediately, free kick paid, push in the back to Jimmy Gwilt against Cam Mooney. Then we're all going nuts again because we know that we won, and everyone's yelling, 20 seconds left, 10 seconds left. And we all knew that free kick was really the last play of the game, and we'd won the game. We'd beaten Geelong. And there's no other team I like beating more than that team. So it was one of the best moments, in my life at the football. That moment of, failure and disappointment and sadness and anger all at the same time, to be immediately 3-6 just flipped over, and we're happy and chanting and singing the song within seconds of that decision being made. So that game is chaotic, it's brilliant, it's got everything. And I think it also had the Lenny Hayes bump on Chapman, which is one of my favourite bumps on the big stage, especially against someone like Chapman, who's notably very tough and doesn't show signs of weakness. Lenny bumps him, and earns a free kick after that, while Chapman's still struggling to get up off the ground because he's so sore from that big hit from Lenny. But fair. That hit was fair, but just beautifully executed. So that game is number 3 on my list. Number two. This deserves a cheers because although it is disappointing that Robert Harvey is not going to be at the Saints next year, he's just signed with Hawthorn. In 2005, for me, he produced one of his best all-time performances. It was just elite. I think he was potentially 34 years old at the time. Towards the end of his career, I think he went on until 2008. But 2005 qualifying final, we're playing Adelaide away from home. I think we were missing a few key players for memory. Jimmy Gwilt, I think he debuted that day, or he was playing his second game or debuting, one of the two. He kicked a couple of goals, but it was really all about banger. It was all about Robert Harvey. I think he had 34 disposals. He kicked 3 goals, including the clutch sealer at the end, off the back of a brilliant pass from Nicky Dell on his non-preferred, I believe. Tight angle, slots it. It was just, as cool as you like. I think the final score for memory was 57-65. And it was a game where we were leading for the majority of the time, but you always knew that Adelaide were just going to calm and fight back and really put up a fight. And they did that. But we stood up, and for me, it was it's on my list because not only because it was Robert Harvey's one of his greatest finals performances and one of the greatest individual player performances I've seen on a big stage from a player at that age. It was also kind of that coming of age win where Adelaide had been the best team all year. They were the dominant team. I think they finished first. We finished fourth. And we're away from home, Amy Stadium, packed house, expected to lose, very similar to the 2010 qualifying final, and we delivered. And I remember just thinking at the final siren that not only I was in disbelief that we'd won, but also that I thought, well, that's probably the hardest game we're going to have in this final series because they're the best team and it's going to open up now. So fingers crossed we're going to get a home prelim. So that for me was amazing because the previous year we played Port Adelaide away, and you feel like if that game was at the G, we probably would have played off in a grand final in 04. But 05, we got that opportunity, and I won't talk about what happened in the prelim, but at that moment in time, at the end of the qualifying final, I was just amazed by Robert Harvey, and I was also amazed that we'd beaten Adelaide away from home on the big stage, and we just booked ourselves a prelim final in Melbourne, which was just amazing. So for that reason, or for those many reasons, that's why it's number 2 on my list. Number 1. Probably one you can guess by this point. I haven't mentioned it yet. And me and Joycey talk about it non-stop in the bloody podcast. Like anytime anyone asks us what's our favourite Saints memory, it's this one. It's the 2009 prelim final. When I think of that game, I'll be honest, in the lead up to the 2020 elimination final last year, I watched that last 5-10 minutes of that prelim in 2009 over and over. Like I spent a whole day just sitting at home. The missus was at work, quiet day, just watching it on the laptop and thinking, like, I can't believe that we have a chance of doing this again, winning a final. This was a prelim. This was our, we had times in 04, in 05, in 08 to book ourselves a spot in a grand final. But in 09, it just felt different because we'd come off a 20-2 home and away season record. We'd just beaten Collingwood in a qualifying final. Not playing our best, but playing good enough. And then we're coming up against a Bulldogs team. And I always remember thinking at the time, like the one team I didn't want to play apart from Geelong in any sort of game was the Dogs. And that was because they played fast. They kicked high scores. But we always seemed to have the wood over them. We smashed them in 09 twice. Overall, our record's been generally pretty good against them. But in this game, they were the better team early. They fought. They kept us, I think, goalless for the first 25 minutes. And it really took until, late in the third where things kind of got going on. Midway through the third quarter where things got going for us. And it's number 1 on this list because for any Sainter, go and watch the topo from Nick Rewalt. Go and watch the last minute of that game after that goal and the final siren footage. And it gives me goosebumps thinking about it now. It's the most vivid memory I have when I think about a final for a Saint is me sitting on the bottom deck cold with my uncle and just seeing just a crowd of players, because we were on the bottom level, so it was very difficult to kind of see what was going on. But I remember seeing Nicky Dowell get the ball from a throw-in, I think it was, and he just kind of banged it on his boot, just you know, a nothing kick to the top of the goal square. And then there's just scrummages, you hear the crowd, and then the ball goes flying and into the Saints cheer squad, and everyone goes nuts. Everyone goes nuts. I didn't know what to think. I was like, is that a goal? You just go with the flow, and all the emotions came through at the one time. And the one moment really that sticks out to me, apart from that moment, the goal itself, was me turning to my uncle and telling him, like, we're in a grand final. We're in a fucking grand final. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe that I actually experienced that. And obviously the week after wasn't the game we wanted, but in that moment, nothing could get better in my life. And I'm sure a lot of you Sainers that are watching, you were there, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. We all understand what we're talking about because we've been through the shit, we've been through these moments, we've been through heartbreaks in grand finals, and right now all we have is really looking back on those memories of those big finals wins. Because for me, 97, like I said, I was 5 years old, didn't get to really experience that prelim. And 1966, obviously, apart from watching, you know, the replay on YouTube and stuff, I wasn't there to feel it. But these moments, I was there. You were there. And that footage from Channel 7 on YouTube, I watch it so many times. And every time I get goosebumps and I just get emotional about it. It's the slow motion of the last 2 seconds of the game. I don't know why I did that. The last 2 seconds of the game where player Zach Dawson notably goes up to punch the ball. But in slow motion in midair, you know the siren's gone. He goes from that to fully focused on the game to celebration and breaking down on the ground. And then Cozzy and the footage of Rui on the bench where he's kind of like waiting for the siren to go. He's holding his Powerade and then the siren goes and he turns to the crowd like that. Powerade goes everywhere. It's just one of those moments that I'll never forget. I'll never forget that feeling of, and that, you know, when the players even left the ground, Saints fans were just still there singing the song. We were all just yelling at each other going, fucking Saints, like, we couldn't believe it. We don't know how to feel. We didn't know how to react in that way. And I can't wait for that moment again to happen at some point, to be able to go to the MCG and just in general go to the footy and be around Saints after just a massive win. But for me, number one has to be the 2009 prelim final. So I'll leave it there, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear your top 5 finals, your favorite finals. It doesn't have to be the top 5 best finals, just top 5 finals in order from 5 to 1 or whatever that you think about or you reminisce or you love watching over and over and over, and it makes you proud to be a Saint, and it just brings all those emotions back as if you went to the game yesterday. Because for me, anytime I think about 2009 prelim, I feel like it was only yesterday that I was there, and I can feel it, I can smell, you know, the beer and the grass and the cold wind of the MCG, and I can picture myself exactly where I was sitting with my uncle and how everything happened and unfolded. So hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please leave a comment, let me know your top 5. And if you're watching and you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd absolutely love it if you just hit subscribe and you'll get notified on all future videos like this, as well as the rest that will come out on the channel. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, guys. Take care of yourselves and go you mighty Sainers. See you soon, guys.